Notts County Talk, we are live with episode 65 of the Pavis Perspective. Fingers crossed, it's a double preview this week with Maidenhead and Gateshead. I'm hoping Gateshead goes ahead. It's at Meadow Lane. It's later on in the day. I know that the temperatures drop, but I think we should be okay. It's Maidenhead I'm worried about. As always, we are powered by Better Bytes Computers. You would have seen some offers and codes before. If you want to use those, then go back to the start of the video or just check out Better Bytes Computers in the description below. How you doing, George? Are you all good?
Not too bad. Hectic week, but aren't they all?
They are. Evening, Ian and Ian, who have joined us. Even to everyone else that's joined us on this very, very cold Thursday. If you'd have seen my tweet earlier, I said, get yourself a warm drink and sit down and join us. Listen to the soothing sounds of the Pavis Perspective, I think we'll put it as, especially if you're listening back on Spotify. Give us a rating there. If you are sat down with a drink, let us know what you're drinking. Have you got a drink, George?
There's a drink next to me, but it's not mine.
So no is the answer.
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Have you, Tom? No.
Oh well.
So we've not done what we said, have we? Evening, Shane. Evening, Alex. Question today, then, George. What's our question?
The question today, good question actually. Really good question. Will you be using the National League streaming service? Yes, no, or undecided?
Ooh. Have you voted?
I voted, yeah.
I voted. You know, when I hear National League streaming service, I think back to Dover.
Yeah.
The first streamed game, where I watched about 3 minutes of that. So
it says streamed, but you get it 3 days later on VHS.
Yeah, there you go. Floppy disk or whatever they're called as well. Shane's got a Guinness. Stephen's got a tea. Let us know what you've got. Thank you for joining us as always. I'd say this is one of the most packed Pavis perspectives we're probably going to do this season. We're talking about the Scunthorpe game. We're going to be talking about the streaming service. We're going to be talking about the new signing, John Bostock. We're going to be talking about Maidenhead and the potential for that game even to be postponed. Then we've got Gateshead to look at. We've got the team selection, I know we'll go on to it, George. That threw me on Saturday. Completely.
Yeah, it was a shock, wasn't it? We were sort of talking to each other before the game, weren't we? And sort of saying, what? It was a bit of a strange lineup, but worked. So
I think it's a good place to start then. Let's start there. Castro starts completely out of the blue for me. Never saw that coming. Jim O'Brien's back in. Really, really happy about that. And if I was to have done a player ratings after the game, I know it was only a vlog. If I was to have done a player ratings, I'd probably have given him...
What, Jim?
An 8.5.
He'd have been buzzing with that.
Yeah. Always shouts over to us. He was fantastic.
What about Castro?
7.5, 8.
It's good. It's good to see that because I think other than his York performance and the goal, obviously, everyone remembers the goal, but his performance at York was really good. But since then, he's not really played to that level. So to see and hear that he's done it again at Scunthorpe's good.
Yeah, I think he was really good. He was very good. Other good performances in that side. So it was interesting when it came out. I don't know what the reason for that was, because initially in my head I thought, resting players. Then I realised we haven't played for 2 weeks and we didn't have a Tuesday game. So why do you think he did rotate as he did? Do you think it's purely based on what he saw in training, or?
Possibly. Yeah, I think that probably is the main factor, isn't it? You were sort of talking before that game about how hard he's trained the players in the lead up to that game. And maybe he's seen a few players shine out. And you know what Jim's like? I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to get back playing. I'm sure he's been knocking on his door, telling him he's ready before he's ready and stuff like that. So you can only just imagine how hard he would have been training. So, yeah, I mean, it just goes to show, doesn't it? Because for me, Scott not starting was mad, wasn't it? But then it worked. It worked. And then he came on and scored anyway. So,
Ian says we were all shocked with team selection, but always trust Luke Williams. That's the point we're at now. I would very, very rarely question a Luke Williams lineup, other than maybe if he went without Langstaff or Palmer, Cameron maybe, but he seems to be getting it all right. Like, it worked. And I know we went 1-0 behind, but there was 1,500 at the game, and you probably heard that on the radio as well. It didn't reflect the game at all. We should have been 2-3 up by that point. And I did say on the vlog when they scored, we know what happens. They're going to sit in, but they weren't as well drilled as Yeovil. And we also had what I think would have been beneficial against Yeovil. We also had the forward runner in Jim O'Brien. So you have Matty Palmer in the middle that's willing to pull the strings. You've got Jim O'Brien that's running forward, but you also can't leave Castro on his own because he's going to fire them from distance. And look what happened. Gets a goal from it. So you had like an impossible task to mark those three. They were just all over the place. So yeah, I was massively impressed with them. And this is something I've been thinking of. And it's going to sound strange and you might just knock it away straight away. But are we more dangerous with 2 on the pitch up front or 1? And I'd like to know the stats of how many we score when we start with 1 compared to 2.
Yeah, no, that is a good point. I mean, off the top of my head, I honestly couldn't tell you. But that is a really good point. I'd like to, maybe that's one to ask Richard. That's a really good point. I don't know. For me, I really like the work that Scott does off the ball. I think, he is the second striker, but he does a lot of the dirty work, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't really see it being too much one way or the other. It's probably quite close, to be fair.
I really like us with 1 up top, I really like the football we play, and I just think we're going to go on to it in a minute, but bringing in another midfielder, if we're only going to really play 2 midfielders, because Ruben's not being dropped and he's more advanced, isn't he? Then I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'd like to know what people in the chat think, whether we are more dangerous with 1 or 2. But the fact is we can go either way, can't we? So yeah, I think, yeah, I honestly can't fault anything he's done. Troy says, what would you guys do with the loans? Would you extend or bring back? I'm thinking about Vinny here.
Extend.
Yeah. I mean, they're loving him, and he's probably loving it. He's playing well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nothing again. I love Vincent when he was at Nantes. I thought he was class when he was playing for us. But obviously something isn't working that we don't know about. I think it's probably behind the scenes because, seeing him play, he's a really good player. So it must be something like that. But, you look at where we are, we're top of the league. We've just brought in a class midfielder. I don't really see it, see where he comes into the fold.
There's no chance for me.
No.
I don't think I think his Knots days are done, personally. I don't see. I mean, what's Bostock, 18 months?
Yeah, you've
got Matty Palmer, you've got Francis that's even started to come back into the fold. You've got Bajram that can play there very well. I don't think we ever see him again for Knots, personally.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
The only way I can see it, and I don't want to say this ahead of time, is if we don't go up, Matty Palmer doesn't stay and Bostock probably doesn't stay. Would he then come back in? But I'm not looking at that. I'm not going to even look at that eventuality because...
How long is his contract?
Vinny?
I think it expires at the end of the season, doesn't it?
Not sure. Yeah. I think he just wants to be playing football because he's a really good player and I think he just needs to play football. So quite a few people saying they prefer 2 up top, Macker and Scott. But someone says 2 up top doesn't leave a striker. Chris says you can bring on when needing a goal. I mean, we didn't need a goal on Saturday, but Scott came on and scored. Let's be honest. We spoke about it last week. We don't have a striker. We have a striker on the bench. We don't have a striker on the bench that can come on and score. End of story for me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point.
It's not ideal. It really isn't ideal. But I'm not a Wrexham. I don't know everything about Wrexham, but are they in the same situation? They've got Mullin and Palmer. If they don't score, do they have someone that can come on and change it? I don't really know.
The thing is, I don't think we rely too heavily on our strikers to score, to be honest.
No, look at Saturday.
Which is always a good thing. Yeah, exactly. You've got goals coming from all over the pitch. So you just sort of waiting for Slocum to get his goal, and then it sort of rounds the team off, doesn't it?
Yeah, Charlie will come back to that point in a minute about Mahovo signing. But what I do want to say now, and we've got a comment here from Milkman Hero. I'm I'd say are we there with depth now, especially for the festive period? Are we there with depth? I am going to say now. I know we don't have. I've just said we don't have a striker that can score, but depth wise, I now think we're there. There's every position, not left wing back, but there's every position covered.
I think we're one, maybe two shy.
2? Where?
Maybe not long term, but obviously you've got Rawlinson, who's out injured for a while, I think, from what I understand.
But Bajrami can drop in there.
True, yeah.
I think we're set. I honestly think we're set.
Okay.
Midfield is so strong. I don't care now. We've got the best midfield in the league. We almost did. We pretty much did anyway. We could go into a game if we needed to. We won't. But with Palmer, Bostock, and Bajrami in the middle, with Jim O'Brien as cover, I'd be happy for Jim O'Brien to start in games.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's so interesting now because obviously everyone wants to play football. Every footballer wants to play football, but there seems to be this new sort of way of football where players aren't just there to play football; they're there to help the club and help people improve and things like that. Football has become, from a player's perspective, I think very, very much selfless. Obviously, individually, players have to drive their own career and help and things like that. And you do see that sort of from the younger players, but the more senior players, and I know it's always sort of been like that, but some of them are talking about they're just happy to be involved and help others and things like that. The game's changed a lot in that respect, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Jordan said that we've now got the option where Palmer doesn't have to play every minute. I agree. I don't think that we'll never have a game where Palmer doesn't start, but there's always the option now if 70 minutes in, let Palmer have a rest. I mean, what have we got coming up now? We've got the 10th, we've got the 13th, the 17th, the 20th, the 26th, then the 1st, and then the 7th. But that's a month from now. And what was that? 6 or 7 games. And add a couple of days onto that, less than a month, you've got 6 or 7 games coming up. Well, we'll see almost the whole squad played. Almost. In those games. I reckon we'll see everyone played. I think Kyra Mitchell will play against Chorley. I think Ed Francis will play against Chorley. I think Mahovo could possibly play against Chorley. I think we'll see everyone used in this next month that's fit. Apart anyone injured, that they won't. Joel Taylor, I think, will play against Chorley. If he doesn't, then I'd seriously question why not. I want everyone rested for that game. That's possible. I'll bring youth in. We play this the 13th, the 17th, and the 20th. Focus on the 13th and the 20th. 2 home games, Gateshead and Barnet, who are very good. So I want everyone rested. I'll even mess it. I'll play left wing back. You play right wing back.
Bombing up and down that wing.
Jordan can be up top.
No, put Ben Jordan in between the sticks.
Yeah, he's got. And Jordan's watching this, I know he is. Just to let you know, Jordan's one of the top 5 or 6 side keepers I know.
Really I think he had one really, really outstanding week, and since then he's just never been the same.
Yeah, he got to his head though, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
But no, he's fairly good. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. Even if he did argue with me earlier that a loan signing doesn't count as a signing. Bizarre. Nearly threw my phone at work. So that covers the Scunthorpe game. I would say I haven't been to every away game this season. I've been to a fair few already this season. I know there's people that go every single week, which is really good commitment. I would say from my perspective this season, that the atmosphere was brilliant. Really, really good. I mean, with 2 or 3 minutes to go, you'll hear on the vlog as well, we're singing "We Are Top of the League." 2 minutes later, I hear a section of fans singing "We Are Second in the League." Head in my hands thinking, I've done it again. And then York score. Really good. I know deflective. It's a good finish.
Yes, it's funny, but someone put in one of my friends' group chats. It was I just looked, saw that Wrexham had scored in I think it was the 88th minute. And I just thought, we just It's so annoying. We were 2 minutes away. And then my mate's messaged in the group chat going, Notts top of the league again then. And I was like, I literally wrote out the message like, no, Wrexham scored late on. And then I thought, I'm going to actually check the result. And I could not believe York had equalised. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you, York.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, Wrexham scored late again. Regardless, I've never known a team score late like it. Ever. It's crazy. And it's...
Yeah. Put a tenner on them scoring after the 80th minute. You're basically printing money.
Yeah, 100%. They got 7 minutes at a time again as well.
Needs to be investigated.
Ian says drinking a pre-match pint at 11 felt weird. Yeah, but it also felt very strange. I walked back through the door at like 4:30, and it felt like with the dark nights, it felt like it was 7:30, 6:30. So I like that. Yeah, it was good. Another comment as well. Chris, like the fact we're rearranging games quickly, clearly a tactic to open up a gap on Wrexham. We play 7 times before the end of Jan. Wrexham play 5. Yeah, that's good. Any fixture congestion that comes up in Feb and March with the style we play and the intensity, the pressing we play is not going to suit us. So get it done now. Look, have we only got Rawlinson out, Touchwood, at the moment injured?
I think we have, yeah.
Because Aaron Man was warming up pre-game, so I assume he's okay. Look, whilst we've got a squad that's fit at the minute, just get the games done. Get them in. Yeah. We're firing at the minute. And just get the points on the board. I'd much rather have points on the board than games to play in hand. Even if they're against teams right near the bottom, I'd hate that. Really, really would dislike that. Let's quickly go back onto the point of Mahovo signing a professional contract till 2025, I believe. We've only seen him against Colville. We didn't go to the youth match. What do you reckon to his signing, and what do you reckon to it being a 2025 signing?
Yeah, there's obviously a long-term plan in place there, isn't there? I'm assuming he'll go out on loan, get some experience playing men's football. But it's good, we've not really seen anything like that, have we, for a while properly? And you for me personally, and I know it's easy for me to say this because of the position we're in, but you sort of have a bit more faith that Williams is going to sort of have the, what's the word I'm looking for? Just have that sort of belief to play young players. Because I don't think we've really had managers like that, have we? Obviously, Birchnell was a bit like it. But before that, I mean, there was no one, and we've seen a couple now, and we've got Luther as well on loan at Bayswood, who's doing really well. So it's good, it's good because you always want to see your club bringing through, youth. So yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, he got hung out to dry, didn't he? Against Colville, we didn't get much help. The whole team were poor. But what I did notice from him is carrying the ball out of defence was brilliant.
Yeah, did you watch his interview?
I didn't.
He was actually a winger. He started out as a winger when he was younger.
Yeah.
So he was like a forward attacker, and then he's just obviously gone as far back really as an outfield player can go. But they were sort of talking about in that how that will help with the way that Notts play, because we play 3 at the back. Obviously, your right and left centre back. If they can carry the ball out well and quick, it's going to help you, isn't it? So for me, I mean it was quite interesting actually, because you sort of assume, don't you, a centre back's always been a centre back, but to hear that he was a left winger at his time in Manchester, and I think it was Sheffield as well.
So yeah, I think it shows a lot of promise, and the fact he can carry the ball out of defence, Luke Williams will have definitely had a say in that, because it's where a lot of our attacks come. Aidan Baldwin's really surprisingly good at it.
Yeah,
Kyle Cameron we know is good at it. Brindley's really good at it. I'd say Baldwin's on par with Kyle Cameron at bringing that ball out, and it kickstarts so many attacks. We asked Luke Williams, didn't we, in our interview why he likes that, and he said it basically causes havoc because people have to press the centre back coming forward, and then it opens up space everywhere. And we see it all the time. It usually opens up space for one of the wing backs to then receive the ball and put a cross in. So I do really like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of wrapped up Scunthorpe. We've talked about Mahovo getting that signing. Biggest one for me.
Yeah, let's move on. Come on.
John Bostock. Wow.
What a signing that is. What a signing. What a career is that as well. I think this will be his 15th club now. and he said 15th is his favourite number. So hopefully that means something and we get promoted.
I also would. I was, if we'd have signed him, I was sure it would have been a 6-month contract. We've gone 18 as well.
Yeah, and that's sort of something that I was saying last week. I think if there's anyone that can persuade someone that maybe, because he even talks in his interview about wanting to play League One football minimum.
Yeah.
If there's someone that can not persuade, but maybe show the vision that Notts have and the vision that he has, Luke Williams, obviously, it's him, isn't it? Like he said himself that he felt a bit dubious about coming down to the National League. They've seen the setup, they've seen what Notts, potentially could grow to be. And as a fan, it's literally everything you want to hear, isn't it? So yeah, really, really big signing that is for me, really big, because he's sort of, the way he describes himself, he's like a low line midfielder, a low line attacking midfielder that likes to break the lines.
Have you seen that? There's a highlight reel of him. Have you seen the highlight reel of his passing from last year?
I haven't.
Almost every pass is out to a wing back over the top. So Chickson,
Lovely.
Toby, Aaron, they're going to have an absolute field day, and the passes are accurate as well. He looks brilliant. I'm so happy we've got him. He has not played a competitive game since I think it's April, like in a competitive league game. I know he's been training with like under 23s and things like that, but he's not played a competitive game. So I give him 75 against Chorley, and I think he'll be ready. Start him in that side. He's not going to be able to play Saturday, Tuesday. I think put him in there, put him in that game, and then he'll be ready for the festive fixtures as well. So I caused a little bit of a divide on Twitter yesterday. Well, it was yesterday, Bostock Sam, wasn't it? And yes. I said, I didn't think. I hope he's not as disappointing as Arthur. And quite a few people said they thought Arthur was a good signing. I was really disappointed with Arthur.
Look, he was
probably
good.
Get the dressing room a lift.
Yeah, no, and it sort of goes back to what I was just saying about players not just wanting to play that sort of in the starting 11. It's being a footballer now, it's a lot more than that. But from what we saw of him on the pitch, you just couldn't help but feel like the players that we did have, that were on the bench probably could have done a better job than him, because he was the word to describe it to me, what for me personally, was when we signed him and to how I felt when he left, underwhelmed.
I thought he'd get us promoted. I thought in the playoffs he would be a world beater, and he didn't even make it to the playoffs. He just sort of disappeared.
Yeah, well, he left. Yeah,
but Bostock's different. Bostock's on a contract here now. He's not owned by a different club. He has to play well here. If he doesn't play well here, then then where do you go from there? He's taking a real big risk. I think he's going to put 100% into everything. I've also heard from numerous people online that he is one of the nicest people in football. And I really will put my neck out on the line and say he will not be the same as Harry Arter for me. I get Harry Arter probably had a really big influence in the dressing room, but I thought he would look scared to go into tackles towards the end. First game, I thought it was great. He looked scared to go into tackles, and you could tell that the opposition's first couple of games were on him, man marking him, watching him. By the end of it, they weren't bothered. I remember the game against Aldershot when we lost. It was awful. He was awful. The only contribution he had to that game, I think he came on late on, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he started. The only contribution is he kicked it out of the stadium with one of his shots.
Yeah.
And then he got booked. I think it was poor. Do you want Harry Arter back? No, thank you. I'm not sure anyone wants Harry Arter currently. I mean,
they had that thing, didn't they? Where, because they got promoted, he got another year onto his contract.
Yeah, yeah. I say that there you go. Like Ian said with you, George, thought he started well, but by the end was bang average, and he would never have made it into my team in the playoffs either. And I remember seeing that message flash up on my phone that was signed Harry Arter. I couldn't believe it. Bostock for me, different level, will be more mobile. On paper, Harry Arter should be a better signing, really, from where he currently is and the amount of championship football he's played. But I think Bostock's going to be great. I can't wait to see him, and I'm going for the Chorley game where we get to properly see him. Fantastic signing.
Yeah, I think, like, obviously it's always good to have that permanent player, but I think when we had Harry Arter, I think he was very cautious You know, he didn't want to. I think it was quite clear he didn't want to get injured. No one wants to get injured, but you know, you'd sharper out of a few tackles if you thought he might, you know, pick something up. Because I think essentially Knots is just keeping him fit for the move that he was supposed to get in that summer, wasn't it? Whereas Bostock's come, he's on an 18-month contract, and like you just said, if it doesn't go well for him, where does he go from there? I mean, I'm sure he'll get something, but he obviously wants it to go well. So there's different. He's going to have different ambitions to what Art had. So I think we'll see a better signing of him.
Definitely. Any thoughts you've got about that as well? Put that in the chat because I think it's a fantastic signing. Yeah, I'm buzzing with that. Don't know where he slots in or how he slots in because Matty Palmer's undroppable. I don't think Bostock will be as good as Palmer either. I think Palmer's the best central midfielder in the league, and no one says anything about him.
Yeah,
you don't hear any fans say anything about him. I think there were different players, but I think you take any player out, you take Langstaff out of the team, it's not as important as Matty Palmer in this team for me. Most important player by a mile.
It's interesting as well. You to talk about it being the best player in the league. And this is sort of off point, but still on point. You know, you look at our league now. Oldham and Scunthorpe sit bottom, and they were relegated last season.
Yeah,
it just shows you the quality in this league, doesn't it? And it makes you wonder, you know, how the team that go this season will fare in League Two next season.
Yeah, be really interesting. Let's look ahead then. Maidenhead. Any Maidenhead fans watching, it's going to come across derogatory, but if you were looking for an away game that you didn't want to be on a weekend where it's going to be -4, it's Maidenhead.
That's so derogatory.
It is, but I'm looking at the league table now. There's literally no team that I would like. Maidenhead, I just don't see it. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the game's going to be on.
Oof, I didn't say.
I can't see it being on. It's going to be like -3. Doesn't get to above freezing until about midday. Maidenhead went last year. You came to Maidenhead with us, didn't you, George?
Yes.
It's not going to be on. What are they going to do?
Last game of the season, wasn't it?
On the pitch.
Get a fanny.
George says game this weekend will be called off Friday. I just can't see it, but we're going to talk about it as if it's on. We're going to talk about it as if it's on. They're 14th in the league. They've only conceded 27. You look at Barnet in the playoffs, have conceded 38. It's not going to be easy. And like Jordan said, the National League giant killers, last year they did a job on everyone, didn't they? Literally did a job on all the big teams. I think they took Stockport out at one point, or maybe drew with Stockport. This year they're beating Eastleigh, who we know are a good side. But then the next game they've lost to Maidstone. So they are so inconsistent. We should do it, shouldn't we, George?
I'd like to think so. We're a bit of a different beast, aren't we now? There's, you know, and I think I say this every week, but I've got to keep it going. The mentality, it's just different, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, it just, I don't know what more I can say. The mentality is different. Everyone's pulling in the same direction, and you know, even in Bostock's interview, he was talking about how you've got a lot of humble professionals and things like that. So it's good to hear. And he's sort of saying that no one's sort of arrogant, and arrogance isn't, you know, sort of stood for at Knots. And it's good because we've had plenty of players, and maybe even some managers that have been arrogant from the last as long as I can remember being a Knots fan anyway. So it's good to hear that, isn't it?
I'm looking. This has crept up on Knots quietly. I didn't really notice it until the other day. We've got the best defence in the league.
Of course we have.
Crept up. Conceded 18 and scored 53. If we carry on at this rate, we're well over 100 goals this season. Looking at 110, 115 goals this season.
Yeah, and let's say as well, Slocum has made some fantastic saves this season.
Yeah.
As much as the, you know, when you look at that, the defense sort of gets a lot of the praise. Slocum has made some real game-changing saves this season.
He has, and I think they'll get. Teams do get chances against us. We saw it against Scunthorpe. Teams get chances, and we may not concede many goals may not concede many this season, but teams will get a chance. and we have to be good to block that. I look at Altrincham earlier in the season. I think we won that 3-0, maybe 3-1 actually. They hit the bar as well. Yeah, Altrincham scored straight after half time, didn't they? But they also hit the bar first half where they should have scored. And what's the game recently where Slocum came rushing out and they rounded him and we cleared it off. Baldwin cleared it off the line. You know the game I'm talking about, don't you? You know the one I mean, but I can't remember who we played. Things like that. We should have probably conceded more, but we haven't. We've conceded 18 in 21, so it is really, really good. Maidenhead will get an opportunity at their ground. They beat Bromley at their place. They only lost 1-0 to Wrexham. Dork says Maidenhead are a good side in their day. We'll do them if our game is on 100%. However, I don't see this game being played until late Feb, early March. I really, really hope it's on. I really hope it's on. The Bromley game where they rounded the keeper. Yeah, ended 1-1, didn't it, in that one, I think. Did we draw? Yeah, we drew that one. Do you think, this is a strange one, do you think the weather will have any impact on our style of play or anything like that?
No, I don't.
You think it doesn't make a difference? The only thing is if it snows and the pitches are shocking. Just a frozen pitch that's thrown out.
I think it can affect the style of play for sure, but I think we'll be able to cope with it.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I'd like to hope so. Alex says Maidenhead tried nothing at our place, came for a draw and then lost 3-0. Teams at home have to have a go, and that's when we're at our best. Fully agree. If we got 4 against Scunthorpe, they're awful position, and we should have scored 4, maybe 5 or 6 against Scunthorpe. Maidenhead won't be as easy. But yeah, I'd like to think there's not really an impact on our play unless we get an absolute bog of a pitch, and then we'd have to switch it up maybe, because our passing game might not necessarily work if you go to a shocking pitch. Yeah, currently -4 down near Maidenhead tonight. So yeah, very, very. Let's just say it's. I'm not gonna say. What that does bring us to though, George, is let's go for the poll. See what people are saying, because this is interesting. This is interesting.
It's a good question. Right, let me get it up. So the poll question this week is: will you be using the new National League streaming service? Undecided got 23%. No got 21%. 56% said yes.
What did you vote?
I voted yeah.
I voted yes.
There's pros and cons to it. I'm not 100% for it, and I'm not against it either. I'm sort of leaning towards being for it, because I think it does definitely have its pros, and I think it's worldwide, isn't it? So it sort of opens the door to sort of a bit of global fandom maybe, but it's just those away days that, for me, like, making games is easy when they're at home because there's no traveling either side. But when, if a game is sort of 2 hours there, 2 hours back, and then we've got filming, it's basically an entire day, isn't it? And sometimes I just can't give up a full day.
Yeah.
So this streaming service opens up, but it also opens up the door to, sales going down for tickets on gates and things like that. So we'll have to see how it pans out. To be honest, I think the only club that you're going to see it massively benefit is Wrexham, which kind of stinks a little bit. But I think, if you can't make away games, or even if you miss watching Notts, but you can't get down to the home games for whatever reason, to any games, it's good to be able to watch us, isn't it, again? But there's also cons to it, like I've just mentioned.
I saw Ollie Bayliss. Most of you know Ollie Bayliss for what he did during lockdown, where he was very vocal about non-league football.
Yeah.
He did a breakdown of exactly how the money would work. I didn't fully read it all, and I didn't really understand all of the mathematics behind it. But from what I basically gathered is, what does anyone really gain from it other than the side that wanted it? Like, it's great for fans, but there could be some games where what I gather, you have to choose a side to follow, and money goes for that. You can be undecided in a game, and if you watch a game that you haven't picked a side for, the money basically goes elsewhere. From what I gather, and it might not be 100%, you can be watching Barnet, Boreham Wood, and because you don't follow either of those sides, the money just gets distributed very, very like poorly throughout the league. And it's free abroad, right? I believe it's free abroad. So what does that benefit anyone but Wrexham? Because who's going to be watched the most abroad? 100% Wrexham. Are people going to tune into, again, no disrespect, are people going to tune into Maidenhead against Yeovil? Or if I'm being honest, are people going to tune into Notts against Maidenhead?
No, I that's what I mean. I think it's going to be very limited because, there's only one club in the National League that's got a documentary on the Disney Plus app, isn't there? That's worldwide. There's obviously a handful of clubs in there that will probably have a bigger reach than just the UK from the history. But I don't really see it benefiting any other club.
You look at it here, like in the chat, there's a lot of things going on. I don't fully understand it. So Chris here says, I believe Maidenhead will get 4 pence from every Notts fan that stream on Saturday, and Notts will get £2.85. I don't really understand. Ian says, as a Notts fan, if I watch Boreham Wood against Solihull, Notts get the money. That to me is great for Notts getting their money, but
doesn't really make sense, does it?
Notts have more fans than Solihull, so there is more opportunity for Notts to get money than Solihull. Do you know what I mean? I could watch 10 games that aren't Notts, and Notts get some money for that. I don't really get it. I think it's £10 a game. If you buy a matchday pass, you can watch all the games. You choose your club, who get your 60% registration. It massively favours big clubs. There we go. I'm saying yes, I will use it because this is a fantastic season so far for Notts. I can't get to Maidenhead at the weekend. But at the same time, if I had a trip to, let's say, Solihull planned later on in the season, and I knew I was going to that Solihull game, I wouldn't then turn around and say, no, I'm not going to go because I'm just going to watch it on there. So I'm going to use it that way. I'm going to use it for games that I definitely can't get to, or I've got no chance, or say I was going to a game and I was ill and I couldn't make the game. Then I would use it. I'll never alter my away day plans to use that platform. That's the way I see it, because you can't beat an away day.
You're right.
What's it called? I think it's called National League TV. I think.
Simple.
That's a catchy name. Oh, is it currently £4.25 for an introductory price? Better get on that. I want to know what happens if Maidenhead call the game off. They'll probably just put it back into your wallet on the account and you can't take it back out. There we go. And then it'll be useless because it won't be an introductory price anymore, will it? So there we go.
Kick off.
Yeah. Maidenhead, we slightly talked about Maidenhead. I do see us winning that game. I hope we win that game, because if we can win that away game, we then go into 2 or 3 home games in a row, but 2 home league games. Quickly look at Gateshead. If we get the win against Maidenhead, you've got to really fancy us at home to Gateshead, haven't you?
Yeah, you have.
They're not the side we played at the start of the season.
No. And I think we're more finely tuned now than when we played them last.
Yeah, I agree. They've got Danny Elliott now.
Yeah, from Boreham Wood. Yeah,
this for Boreham Wood.
Yeah, that's right.
So there is obviously that, but I just, if we could be here this time next week with 6 more points, I believe Chesterfield play Wrexham on Tuesday, or at some point. I think it's Tuesday. If we could, be sat here with six extra points, one of those sides, if not both, will have dropped points. And if we haven't, then it's massive. Yeah, Wrexham at home to Chesterfield. Who would you rather win that game? Or what would you rather the result be?
Draw.
Yeah. The way I see it, Wrexham beat Chesterfield, they're pretty much done for the league title. Chesterfield beat Wrexham. Chesterfield have a game in hand. It brings them back in. So I think your draw is the best result.
Yeah, 100%.
What's the worst result? Wrexham win.
Yeah. They're right on us, aren't they? They're right on us.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the table now, and it's like Notts are on 48 points, Wrexham on 47, and then Woking a third, and they've got 40.
Yeah.
So it really is getting to that point, isn't it, where we are Notts and Wrexham are creating a bit of a gap, aren't they?
Chesterfield could get to 43 though with their game in hand.
Yeah.
Woking smashing it. Woking
Yeah,
are
they
doing
are.
really good.
Fair play, yeah.
Really, and I would like to say I predicted those and Will did at the start of the season as a team up there. I think I had them fourth, but it's good to see another team up there as well because it puts pressure rather than just three teams pulling away.
Yeah.
Barnet as well. Barnet are doing pretty well.
Yeah,
interests
rocky
me.
couple of years, Barnet, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're doing well. Good luck Tuesday night, gents. Hopefully we somehow get a result. Yeah, thanks. You're down in 22nd now. You're not having the best time. You beat Southend, which is a fantastic result, but then you haven't backed it up, have you? So, yeah, thanks for the message. But obviously, good luck for the rest of the season, but not Tuesday night. I really hope. I hope you don't get anything at Meadow Lane. And if you are traveling down, I'd be very shocked if it was off. Right, I think this is really difficult. The lineup for either game. I think Saturday's lineup's really hard.
I'll go for it.
Go on,
Fancy
then.
it.
Obviously, same formation.
Yeah, Slocum in goal. Brinley, Baldwin, Cameron. Wing backs.
I agree. Up to there, I agree.
Wing backs. Chickson, Adebayo rolling.
Yeah.
Midfield.
This is what I mean. It's very difficult.
Jim O'Brien. It's crazy because Bajrami, I think he's fantastic, but this is just purely off form and who I think will perform on the day. Jim O'Brien, Matty Palmer, Ruben Rodriguez up top, the two Geordie lads.
I agree with the back five, or back six, including Slocum. See, we're dropping Castro, who was fantastic. I'm going to go. I want to say unchanged, but I can't see it being unchanged. I just can't see it being unchanged. So I'm going to go the same back six. Matty Palmer retains his place. Jim O'Brien retains his place. Badrami comes in place of Castro. And then we see Ruben and Langstaff. I just think, I've got a bit of a fascination with the weather, but I think it's going to be a tough game. Some big tackles going in, Maidenhead, pitches like that, isn't it?
It's like that.
Yeah, like that. You do that again just so I can see what's it like.
I hurt my arm doing it. I can't do it again.
No, even there, Castro has to start. It's just the other week everyone was saying unchanged, but the bench then I'd like Scott for myself. Scott, Castro.
I thought you were going to describe what bench you actually wanted in the dugout.
Wooden,
plastic.
So Scott, Castro, Aaron the man.
You're really squeezing them names out.
Really struggling. Francis probably on there. And at this point, do I want Kyra Mitchell? I don't know. Mahova.
Yeah, why not?
On there. Why not?
Post
Chris says we'll be unchanged Saturday, maybe a couple of changes Tuesday. Yeah, Austin. Yes, Austin.
Samuel, yeah.
Love Austin. There we go. No, not Mahova. I was only joking about Mahova. Austin.
That's sad.
Right. Let's go score prediction then for both games.
I went first with the lineup, so I'll go first again for the predictions. 2-1 Notts, Maidenhead, Langstaff, and Cameron. Needs a goal, Cameron. He's not had one for a while, has he?
No.
And then Gateshead on Tuesday. I'm saying 4-0 Notts. Big result, big performance. Castro to get one, Ruben to get one, Chickson to get two.
Oh, love that. I'm going to go 2-0 away at Maidenhead. Yeah. Tough game, but we get a Jim O'Brien goal again where he does the same celebration that's on the thumbnail, just puts his arms in the air.
Lovely.
And Langstaff again. 3-0 at home to Gateshead. No, 3-1. I think Danny Elliott scores. But we're already 3 up at that point. And then I'm going to go, who's going to score against Gateshead? It's going to be Langstaff 2, Bostock 1. Going to come off the bench and get one. Let's see what you're thinking. I think Shane's probably the closest to being right with the first one. He says postpone for the first game and then 3-0 in the home game against Gateshead. We've got 2-0, Narts, Langstaff and Castro. I assume that's for this weekend's game. Chris says Bostock on the bench for 15-minute appearance if we are 4 up. We've got Ian says 4-1 Saturday, Macca, Scott, Ruben and Chickson. Chris says 3-1 against Maidenhead, Castro, Macca and Chickson. Yeah, we need a Chickson goal again, don't we? Alex says 2-0 both games. That'll be good. I like this one. This is probably the most realistic. We've got 2 6-0s with Chickson hat-trick, Macca hat-trick in both. As always, Callum, you are keeping us grounded. Go to Ian's Gateshead result 3-1, same as me, but he's got Macca ×2 and Scott, neither celebrating. We've got a 3-0 there from Chris. Charlie's gone 4-0, and the final one I'll put up is just here. We've got 3-1 to Knots against Maidenhead, if on Palmer, Ruben, and Chickson. And we'll grab one from the Heed Army as well. Knots 4, Gateshead 1, Macca 4, and Harris for them. If Macca scored 4 against you, that would be upsetting, wouldn't it? So
for them, yeah.
Yeah, of course it would. It would be awful. But we'll have to see. Will the game be on? We will see. I hope it is. I really do, because I don't want any more fixtures pushed back. So there we go. Huge numbers again on a Thursday. We got up to 100, almost 110 at one point, which is absolutely massive. Loving all the positivity, loving all of the comments again, keeping it all flowing in the chat as well was really, really good. Good to have your opinions. Good to have you voting on the poll. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because we are rocking it up to that 2,500 subscriber mark. If you get that by New Year, we'll be absolutely buzzing with that. Thank you for joining us. If you are traveling, I hope you make it and it's not called off. Bring us back 3 points. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.